Welcome to the new IT. Here we are in the new IT studio again today. Brad, what's going on? What are we talking about? What is the show today?
Today is actually a really, really good show.
Aren't they all really good?
Of course, but even
this one's even better.
More special.
Oh, awesome.
So today we're actually talking divorce and everything related to divorce.
That's such a great topic.
Right? Such a great topic.
Divorce. Hey, but we're going to put a positive spin on it, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to make it easy.
Thankfully, I'm not talking too much about it. That's not my area of expertise.
Don't tell my wife about this. We've been married 25 years, and if there was an easy way out, she might take it.
Right? I'll have to make sure that she doesn't know. So we actually brought in two experts today from OurDivorce.com to talk to us and help us understand how they're using their platform to change the industry and
disrupt.
How people get
some
divorced.
Disrupt. We're going to talk about divorce and how easy it is and simple it is. Oh my gosh! Wow,
so,
we're definitely going to disrupt some folks.
Absolutely. So we have Tom and Jill here from OurDivorce, as I said. So I'm going to let them do a little bit of an intro, and then we can go from there.
Awesome. Tell us about what's going on, or who you are, all that stuff.
Well, let's start with how we met. So
nice.
I spent 31 years in the contact center industry. I started as a phone rep, worked my way up into call center management, ended up selling the technology for many, many years. In 2005 or 2006, I didn't sell the technology to Jill, but I was assigned to implement the technology for Jill's company. And we became fast friends, and we have traveled the world together selling contact center technology. She has been a great business partner even before we were actual business partners. And so when I launched OurDivorce on February 15th last year, the first person I called was Jill, and I said, I need a business partner, and you're the one.
There she was, right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Awesome. And what did you say to that? Sure.
I said, right on, bring it on.
So did you pitch her? Did you say, hey, this is my idea? Where did this come from? Could you kind of tell us a little bit so we can get, I mean, we've talked about this. This is a disruptor. This is a big deal. So kind of tell us a little bit about it.
So I won't go into great detail as to why, but in the fall of 2019, I was kind of compelled to get a divorce. It wasn't my choice. But there was another person involved, not just my wife, if that makes sense.
Understood.
And I had been divorced about 20 years earlier, and I'd spent $40,000 and 19 months to make that divorce happen.
Wow.
And honestly, I don't know if I won anything. That was $40,000 just gone for nothing. And maybe I got a blender or something, but that's about it. And so when this divorce came up, I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to spend another $40K, and I don't want to spend a year and a half of my life. There's got to be a better way. So I started Googling, as we all do when things like this come up. And I was doing DIY divorce, online divorce, standard search terms. And I found a few services out there. They do exist. We do have competition. I'm not going to shy away from that. I even paid 2 or 3 of them to get my divorce, and they didn't work. And the reason they didn't work is because really all they do is they make legal forms a little easier to understand. They don't help you make decisions. They don't help you walk through the process.
Or negotiate.
Or negotiate. All they do...
Because that's a big part.
That's a huge part. Even for an amicably divorcing couple, things still have to be decided.
But don't you have to have a lawyer to do that? Don't you have to have, everybody, that's the kind of the thing. You have to have a lawyer, because I need somebody to protect me, to protect me from that evil person that I no longer want to have anything to do with, that I have to have something to do with.
We say that there are 3 types of divorcing couples. There's the unicorn couple, which they've got everything figured out, and they can just go online and figure it out. They've already done it. Then you've got the lions and hyenas, who are going to fight because it's instinctive. That's what they do.
They're hurt. They're feeling,
I don't care about the blender, but I'm going to spend $40,000 to win it because
it's the principle.
It's the principle.
Exactly.
I fight because I fight.
Yeah.
And those 10 or 20% on the 2 ends. Then there's that 60 to 80% of the rest of us who we just want a divorce. I don't care about the blender. Take it. And And they just need a little help, a little more than filling out forms, a little less than an attorney. Now, when you think about an attorney protecting me from that person who I hate, which is the standard mantra,
Yep.
when you think about that, what you're saying is their attorney is doing the exact same thing. So if you're both just trying to protect your rights, why do you need people to do that? What you're doing is you're trying to impinge on somebody else's rights.
What can I take advantage of?
Exactly.
I want more.
And you think 60% of people aren't really out that way.
They are not.
They're
that way.
not out to do that.
Yeah.
They just want to be disconnected.
No, and I talk to so many, women. Actually, 70% of women are the ones who actually file for divorce, and what the misconception is that I need an attorney in order to get a divorce, and so that's the first call they make, and they have an amicable relationship. Kids are grown, they've both grown in different ways, and it's now the time has come for us to get a divorce. $10,000 retainer just to hire an attorney is a very common amount.
Wow.
That's before you even start talking. And that's a retainer. And again, we're talking about amicable people.
Yeah.
They've been together for 25, 30 years, and now it's time, and we need an attorney. And that is the disruption and the misconception that we're really trying to squelch right now.
So the truth is you do not need an attorney
No.
Absolutely
to get
not.
divorced.
No.
You do not.
No.
Especially if you guys are amicable.
Right. And let's talk about why we all believe that there's an attorney involved. Or
We're
why-
going to get to technology in a minute, but this is too interesting
Yeah,
too.
no, I
Is that
agree.
okay?
Absolutely.
So there are roughly 750,000 divorces a year in the United States. That's about one every 42 seconds. If you do the math, that's insane. I mean, we've been
That's a
talking for
lot.
5 minutes, so what, 30
lot of
people
people
have
are-
been divorced
Exactly, yeah.
already.
Unhitched.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the average divorce pays attorneys $11,000. Okay? That includes divorces that didn't even have attorneys. We're talking about every divorce divided by the total revenue. That's $8 billion a year spent on attorney's fees just to get divorced.
I'm in the wrong racket.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Well, you'd have to deal with a lot of angry people.
Yeah,
But
that's
the
not
thing
my
is,
thing.
if you think about that, if you're an attorney and you're going to protect that $8 billion, you're going to
Oh,
do
yeah.
everything you can to
You
maintain
need
the
us.
monopoly.
Yeah.
Now, we're not out to kill attorneys or hurt attorneys or ruin their business. The lions and hyenas, they need attorneys. The problem is that attorneys tend to create lions and hyenas. So that wife that I divorced 20 years ago, I made her a great offer, and she said, I'm going to take you for everything. And went to her attorney, and her attorney said, you can get more than he's offering. And so she said, I'm going to take you for everything. I was forced to protect myself because she was taking more than was her right. She wanted to take more, so I had to protect my half. And we ended up fighting, and she got less than I offered.
Wow.
And that is very, very common.
Yes.
yeah.
And
Because they think, I'm supposed to get it all.
Well,
Exactly.
And they forget that they have to pay the attorney.
Right.
So
Don't they just make the dude do that?
No.
They can try.
Because that's what it does in the movies. Isn't that how it works in the movies?
Yeah.
Every movie I've ever seen, that's how it works.
Right. Yeah. So that's why we do what we do. So when I was compelled to get a divorce at the end of 2019, fall of 2019, I didn't want to pay the money. I just thought it was stupid. Now, I will tell you, 20 years after that divorce, I had a lot more to lose this time.
I would imagine.
I'd gained a lot more stuff. And so I sat down in my hotel room because I was separated, and I sat down and Googled and tried to find a good solution, and it didn't exist. So I spent the 2 or 3 days writing up a divorce plan. And it was basically a project plan from any sort of a business perspective. Fortunately, my ex-wife is a project manager. That is her trade. And so
you guys actually had it figured out. You were like, okay, let's do this.
So 2 weeks later, when she announced that it was over, I showed her the plan. Said, "Are you willing to work with me on this plan?" She said, "Absolutely." And that was 2 days before Thanksgiving, so that was Monday. By Wednesday afternoon, we had papers ready to file. And that's unheard
And how long
of.
before you were officially divorced?
The judge signed the paperwork, I'm not even joking here, on Valentine's Day 2020. So my divorcery is Valentine's Day, which is why the next day I called Jill and said, we're starting this company.
Wow.
Wow. What a story.
That is a story. That's an awesome story.
So tell us about the technology. Kind of how does this work?
Well, let me kind of take it from there. So,
Yeah,
so
go
Tom, calls me in, and he presents this concept and idea, and really what my strength is startups, and so I know how to do that really well, and coming up with a business plan. I mean, concept to production are a lot of baby steps, and so really Tom's solution, I was able to really dive in with him, and now we start building the dev team, and now we start building the plan of strategy and doing research, starting the development pieces, and that's been about 18 months in the doing. So it's not just here's a great idea, let me walk down the street and now it's done. So
Got it.
I think that's where this partnership has really benefited the both of us. And wow, we've learned a lot about divorce in different states.
Wow, creating anything like that. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of work there.
A lot of
Absolutely.
work that goes into it from the technology side. So so I just wanted to give a little background there.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we kind of touched upon that, but how are you using technology to be that disruptor in the divorce space?
Well, as I said, we do have some competitors, and I put air quotes around competitors sometimes because we have what we consider to be the only online mediation system. So what happens is we have a 3-step process. Our competitors stop at the second step. So first step for us, it's a set of 26 yes or no questions. Do you have children? Do you own a home? Do you have cars? It's just yes or no. And then that informs step 2 as to what data we have to collect. So if you say, no, I don't have any kids, well, then we're not going to ask you for your kids'
Right.
names. I mean, it's a fairly simple,
Right.
it's a yes or a no. That's where everybody stops. What we do then is, we go, step 1 is called the synopsis, step 2 is the inventory, and it's just a bunch of data entry. Step 3 is what we call the division, and that's where you divvy it all up.
Got it.
If you do have kids, who's going to be the primary caregiver? Who's going to have primary custody, legal and physical? What's the parent time schedule like? Then we get into alimony and child support, and we do all of those things. Those are decisions that have to be made, and sometimes the decisions are just made by the state. Like child support is just a calculator. We don't actually do that. We just have the state do it. But
So that's a part of the system, though.
yeah.
It just pops that in
Yep,
there because this
auto-calculates
is
it.
what the state says. This is how it will be.
Right. Well, and let's just say that there's a car. I mean, what can you do with a car, a jointly owned car? You can either sell it, husband can keep it, or wife can keep it. There's not a lot of
Options.
there's not a lot
Right.
more to it,
Yeah.
right?
I want joint custody of the car.
Exactly.
It's a Lambo. I mean, come on.
Right.
Some
I
would
drive
too.
it on the weekends. You can have it on the weekdays.
Some people do want to share a few things, but that's a little more complicated. But if we want to, let's say I want to sell the car and my wife wants to keep the car. Well, now we have a disagreement. And so before we require everything to be agreed upon. You can't print documents until everybody agrees on them. I mean, you can print them, but no one's going to sign them.
Exactly.
And so then what we do is we have a multi-step negotiation process that says, hey, look, wife.
That's a part of the software.
Yeah, there are no humans involved here.
What?
Awesome.
That is
Now,
cool.
it's important to understand that we're not a law firm. We're not attorneys. We don't practice law. So we don't offer any legal advice along the way. What we do
It's
is
up to
try-
them to make the decisions.
Exactly.
We encourage
You aren't
people
telling
to
them-
compromise. That's
You're
what
saying,
we do.
okay, you're at a point here. You guys have to figure it out. Here's some.
Here are your options.
Yeah.
And it's something like you've agreed on everything except for the car. You're so close.
Yeah.
Is it worth really holding this up over a
Over
car?
this.
And then we can have that conversation.
And then she maybe can buy it, or
Yeah.
Right.
right.
That's a perfect, exactly.
Yeah.
You just nailed it.
Yeah.
Because then
Or at least for half.
if they can't figure out the
Buy
thing
you
in
out
the
of it.
negotiation step, then we move into what we call bartering, and
So-
they can start bartering with other stuff.
So talk me through. So I like the car analogy because it's simple
it really
and
is.
you can really get onto it. So if there's a situation in the software where that you have the car, and then do you say in the software, okay, what are you going to do with the car? And then you say, well, I want to do this, and she wants to do that. Then what does the software do with that?
Well, so each party is working separately. So you each have your own login.
Oh, you don't have them have to be together. Because
Oh,
I picture
oh,
these
cool.
two really nice, congenial people together. Kind of, oh, well, do you want this? Sure, yeah.
You
that-
can do that.
You
but
can.
You don't have to.
Oh,
We-
you can.
okay.
So if you really have this,
We can, and we do encourage it, actually. So if you're able to sit down and work together, good
Even
for
better.
you.
Yeah.
But
that
if
sounds
you,
awesome.
If you
I
can't,
mean, if I was up for
Right.
that.
yeah, if you can't, you can be, husband can be sitting in his hotel room because they're separated, or wife, I guess. That seems not to happen, though.
I wouldn't think too often, but yeah.
All of the shows I've seen,
Yeah.
it's never been like that, including Divorce
Right.
Court.
The husband just is always booted. But,
Right.
so they can work separately or together, and the husband says, I want to keep the car. And the wife, when she gets to that point,
I want to keep the car.
she can say, I want to keep the car, or I want to sell the car. Or she can say, I want Tom to have the car.
Right.
And if she
That's
if she
a done
says,
deal.
"Yeah, Tom
That
can have
goes
the
in the
car,"
documentation,
boom, we're done.
and you're done. If it's not, then what's the next step?
Then we do, how do you explain this?
We inform through email, really, that there's a disagreement in what areas
is
there's
so
a disagreement in. So, out of all of this third stage, we only have 2 disagreements. So let's get on a call and let's talk that through. Oh, you want to keep the car? Well, I understand why you want to. You
Yeah, to be clear, we don't get on the call.
It's
They
them,
do.
the
Right.
two, the two husband and wife.
I'm playing the
Soon
scenario.
to not
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Right. So the couple can have that conversation and better understand either the intention of the person who wants to keep the car and better understand the intention of the person who was disagreeing with that. And then they would go back online and that they would
Can resubmit.
They would change their answer.
We go through 3 rounds of negotiations, basically, where it's like, look, you're this close. If you make this one change, maybe they can meet you halfway.
And this is automated on your guys.
It
Oh, yeah.
Completely automated.
We will
And
never
we
talk
have,
to them.
Yeah, and we have like little tips and tricks, like of encouragement. Again, you're so close.
Who really drives the car? Come on.
There's another car out there. Yeah.
And we
It's only a car.
And if it
Right.
and I'm assuming
that's a good point right there.
right.
I'm assuming since you said in the beginning, if there's an impasse where there's nothing, neither is going to point, then they're the hyena and the lion, and
That's
there's
right.
nothing you guys can do about it.
That's right.
Right. And what we do offer at that point is so we charge $299, but we only charge that if they make it all the way to the end and print out their
Really?
documents.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if they get to that impasse over the car,
You don't charge them anything.
they can go
No.
hire the attorney then and pay them the $10,000 retainer fee.
And so what we do
Over the
is
car.
for $100,
Right.
we will let them print out what they've got so far. Basically, a report that they
Okay.
can take to your neighbor, the mediator, or to their attorney, and say, "Look, we're this close. Help us get past the car, or
Okay.
the kid, or whatever it is."
You just said something, and I'm just throwing this out there for mediators. I know how she kind of works and stuff. Would this be something a mediator could use to help? I mean, it seemed to me like it would take all of the work
Yeah.
off of the mediator except for talking with the couple.
It is a guided process, and again, depending on the model that the mediator uses themselves, it's a great roadmap to start with.
I mean, 200. I mean,
299.
10
$300
grand, 10,
yeah.
40 grand to $300. That's a pretty,
That's a
pretty big
no-brainer.
no-brainer. Yeah, that's
Right.
Well, don't sign me up because I'm
Yeah.
somewhat happily 25 married, 25 years
Yeah,
married.
you stick with that. Jill gets mad at me when I say this, but I would love it if we just never had to have another customer.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's actually sad to be in the divorce business, but
Right.
the fact is, like I said earlier, it's happening every 42 seconds.
And you're really assisting some people that maybe just aren't in a space. Maybe they're in a situation where they really just shouldn't be together.
Right.
And they can't get out because they just don't know what to do or how to do it.
And we were not on the committee that was the decision maker of not staying married anymore.
Exactly.
We're just an option.
You're giving them an option that's
exactly.
going to really, I mean, to me, it looks like it's a disruptor.
Yeah.
It
It
is.
is a huge game changer for people. It's for the people. It's really for the people.
And let me take it a step further, because every state is different, that we then provide the instructions on what to do. So you print out your paperwork and then you take it to your courthouse. There might be a court fee of $35 to file it. It gets before the judge signs it.
So was this a thing
You're
where
done.
they two go together in the court and they meet in front of the judge, or they don't even do that?
They don't even do
They
that.
just show paperwork and the judge looks at it and goes, "Yeah, this looks good." Psst,
Yep.
Stamp.
Yeah.
Really, they don't even have to talk.
Well, and
Wow.
it's interesting. So
Some
This is
states
so
do
cool.
require a hearing.
if you, I mean, again, some of the things that we've learned along the way in our research and development is that what is the percentage of couples that actually go to trial, divorces that go to trial?
Ooh, less than 5%.
Less than
Really?
5%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really. So usually
get-
the lawyers
there's a
do their
settlement.
job,
Well,
The
they
the
do.
lawyers
way.
help them
Settlement.
settle,
Yeah.
which is all we're
which
doing.
is all you're doing. for
Cha-ching,
300
cha-ching,
bucks.
cha-ching, right.
Exactly.
And how many months and years could that take? I mean, one of the things that we're now doing is we're doing My Crazy Divorce podcast, where we're hearing stories and interviewing people about their experience with divorce.
Ooh, that's exciting.
That's awesome.
It's really been interesting, and we hear stories.
Have
from,
you already been doing interviews?
Yeah. Hearing stories from all different kinds of people and walks of life and all over the United States. And so, I mean, again, we've got stories from divorces that have cost over $1 million to, where people have no money to get a divorce.
Yeah.
And now what do I do? I'm stuck in this marriage. So it's been pretty exciing to
is so cool.
talk to people more and more about it, because one of the things Tom and I have done is some of that guerrilla marketing that comes along with startups is we went on TikTok and we just started using TikTok as for brand recognition. What do we do? Who are we?
How is that
How,
going?
how do you,
I'm
well,
curious.
how do you do? How do you even? Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that came up last September. My kids actually helped me film our first TikTok. I had no idea what was going on. I just was kind of following orders. They ended up helping us film this TikTok, or helping me film this TikTok, and we published it on Friday night, September 8th, if I remember correctly. And the very next day, it had 1 million views.
Wow.
And and it's my divorce
Talk
story.
about disruption.
And it was an awkward feeling when you
Yeah.
realize that 1 million strangers now know your most intimate details. Now, I put it out there for people, but I figured, 20 people would watch, and that would be the end of it. Well, we were on the phone the next day.
This was before you started the company, or this is
It was
after?
after we started it, but before we had a working product. So we were just trying to start building brand recognition.
Right.
All of a sudden, our website has 10,000 hits on it, and we didn't know what. We had a tiger by the tail, is
Yeah,
what we
absolutely.
figured.
Oh my gosh, this is cool.
Jill here has been labeled the Queen of Divorce. I have been labeled the CEO of Divorce on TikTok.
Nice.
If you search the hashtag on TikTok, Divorce Talk, TOK, we're the Queen and the CEO of Divorce. Since then, we realized that if we're going to use TikTok, which clearly we should, we had to put a strategy together. So we actually publish a video every single day now, and there's a lot of work that goes
Consistency.
into.
It's all
Absolutely.
about consistency.
It is.
Jill does one, I do the next one, and we just alternate. So one week I do 3, next week she does 3, and
And then
that way.
alternate, yeah.
And
And we do lives,
Yeah, we do
live
live.
sessions where people come on and they ask questions, and
Cool.
we have a lot of fun with this. Again, it's not having fun at the expense of someone else's demise or misery. But you have to bring some kind of
not?
elevation to a really difficult situation.
Absolutely.
Nobody's ever going to say divorce is easy. It is one of the hardest things that you will ever go through in your lifetime. And though, why not make it because it's happens so often. Why not at least make it where you have options, where you have a community, where there's others out there like you going through the same thing that you can help.
Right.
Wow.
And that's really our intention, is to help others and to, get people talking about it and get people not being afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we invented, or I don't know if you invented, we added the hashtag OurDivorce. So, of course, that's our handle on TikTok as well as OurDivorce.
Okay.
And then we started putting hashtag OurDivorce on our videos, and I checked this morning, and we're at 20.6 million views on that hashtag.
Wow.
Wow.
So basically, our videos, on average, are viewed roughly 2 million times a month. And we...
Amazing.
And it's sometimes it's embarrassing because we get pretty open.
Yeah.
We tell pretty open stories.
That's the only way to get above the noise.
Well, you
That
have
right
to
there,
be-
that's why you got 1 million views, because the vulnerability,
Right.
everybody's trying to raise their hand and say, look at me. But if you're real, people see it. We're used to the bull crap, the fakeness now. But when you're real, we want that.
Yeah.
And you're
That's
human.
awesome.
I mean, you're relating.
Yes, this is, you guys are this is so cool.
This is awesome.
We've had cool people on. You guys are this is so cool. I mean, just what you're doing. I mean, you're really helping a section that has been taken advantage
too
of.
long.
I mean, let's
For too
face
long.
it. Yeah.
And again, really, for divorce laws, it's written by attorneys for attorneys. Period. There's nowhere in there that it's like there's something that's going to protect me per se.
Wow.
The only other thing that I would want to add to that, which is 100% true, is if you think about this, I go out and hire an attorney. My wife goes out and hires an attorney. We're going to be done at some point. Those attorneys are going to move on to new clients, but they're going to still be talking to the same judge, the same mediator, the same court clerks, the same everybody in the courthouse. They have to play nice. They cannot truly represent me because they still have to represent themselves to those people that they have to work with every single day. Now, again, I'm not bashing attorneys. They do a great job. They perform a great service. But if you think back, some of us are old enough, Jill and I are old enough to remember pre-1985, when you wanted to file your taxes, you'd go to the post office and pick up your forms, or you hired an accountant.
Or you have my mom do it.
Yeah. Or a friend,
She
right.
was really good.
Those were your two choices. But then this really cool product came along and started allowing people to do their taxes online.
With a guided process.
With a guided process. And now more than 60% of Americans file their taxes online. Can you even imagine if the accountants had maintained the monopoly that they did back then? It's a crazy thing to think about that it's taken us 35 years to start chipping away at the legal monopoly.
Yeah.
But here we are.
And I think the side note to that too is accountants still have jobs.
That's right.
They're not. It didn't put them out of a job.
Exactly.
So I think that's exactly. You're not in the business to put lawyers out of a job. You're in the business to help people.
That's right.
This is literally I feel like it's a passion. It's kind of a love of seeing something that you knew, and that's where the great companies come from.
Yeah.
That kind of I see. I had this heartache, this harsh, and I know how to fix it.
Right.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is way cool.
I'm totally into this, man.
I can tell.
Brad.
But I don't want you to go and get a divorce.
I know. Hey, Monique, let's try it and just get remarried. It'll be fun. It's only $300. Let's see how it works. No. Hey, I want to ask. So, how does the technology, or who takes care of the technology? How does that? Do you have developers, or how does that work?
We have a dev team, and they are the ones that actually have taken. Well, let me go back to
Your beautiful idea.
some
in
of the
mind.
startup. So when Tom was creating this, we had to create flows. Because you can't just go to a developer with an idea and say,
Come on, do this
put
thing.
it all together
I've
for
tried,
me.
I've tried. It
Right,
doesn't
I've
work.
tried too. That doesn't work that way. And so, but you have to give them very clear direction. And one of the directions that we had to guide them through was this flow. And if I had a picture, Tom's house was literally covered wall to wall wall to wall with flows
Wow.
of how we needed the developers to create step one, step
this,
two,
this.
like
If
this
this,
goes
then
to
that.
this, if this, then that. And so, do you even know how many pages there are on our platform? I mean, Amir would know. Yeah.
Look, said it all right there.
Exactly.
There's a lot.
It's a
went
lot.
we went through, I mean, in the old days, we printed a lot. But, who prints anymore, right?
Right.
Well, this was a lot easier for me to visualize. Once I had it done, I had to print it all
Yeah.
out and find the errors. And
I don't know entrepreneurs that don't have that
thousands
all
of
over their room
pages
somewhere.
taped on every wall of my house. And
When you've got something, I got to keep.
And we would
I gotta know
follow
what's
it.
going on here.
We would follow it to see again where our niches, where our gaps, where are the things that we need to fix. Oh, we asked that, but we didn't transfer that knowledge to the second step.
So you originally gave pieces and parts to developers. You said, okay, let's work on this piece.
Yeah, we have one team that's still we've changed in the middle a little bit. We had one person from the team leave and brought in even a better one.
absolutely.
And
Awesome.
so it is that to me with
were
any
worried.
business that's based off of
When you
software.
have somebody that's done, especially developers, because sometimes they are in their own little
Mm-hmm.
thingy, and another developer comes in and are like, I don't know what the hell that guy was thinking.
Exactly. And you got to start back.
If anybody's ever worked in development, man, they don't think like normal people.
They
No.
don't.
They
They
think
don't.
completely differently, and if you can connect with them, you can make some powerful tools.
That's right. And that's what we've been able to do. And then the other part of our strategy was to focus on the first 12 states that had the most divorces. So as we're releasing state
So you're not in
after
all
state
50
after
yet?
State, no, we're
Oh,
not.
That's cool.
We're
though.
in the top 12.
That's the way to grow, is piece by piece.
That's right. Because it takes time. And we actually, part of our team are...
Is Utah one of them?
Yes. Well,
Oh,
it's close.
it's close.
But it's not high enough on the list.
Because it's not one at the top. That's good to know.
It's in the top 14.
Okay.
And it was funny
Didn't make
because
the 12.
because Utah was going to be our number one.
Yeah.
Because
You're in Utah.
both came
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Came
yeah.
from here. So it was like, yeah, we're going to make Utah number one. And we found out that, well, it's not the number one state where people get divorced. So
even
why
close.
start with that?
Yeah,
Wow.
no.
Yeah.
What is
But
the
it's
number
a-
one state? I'm curious.
California.
Oh,
Okay.
that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I
Going
mean,
to the beach.
And that's the
Goodbye.
thing. Well, if you think
I
about
want
it,
the beach house. It's a deal breaker.
I mean, if you think about it, it's just the most populous states. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of folks.
Just
in
numbers.
Cali.
there's population and divorce rate, and those two things work together. And it's California, New York, Texas, Florida, Illinois. Those are the top five. I can't even remember where it
But
comes
with
after
all the
that.
Californians moving to Utah, that number is
Yeah, true. So I'm curious. So then, how did you pick developer? How did you find them? I mean, this is IT. I mean, we're technology. We're talking about the future. How did you guys find that? I mean, you got it. You went
That's
from an
kind of
idea. That's
my
your
value.
whole wheelhouse.
So I've developed other software applications, and so I understand what that piece looks like. I'm not a coder
and you
myself.
have all the connections.
I have the connections.
And you understand
I have
how to
the
talk to them.
teams, how to talk to them, how to keep them together. So that was a piece of my value that I added. And
Awesome.
although Tom really has been the one that's worked with them the most, because it's his
vision.
My plan.
Yeah.
his plan. And so I've been the one that's just really supported him along the way, and with the team, with the processes, with walking him off the ledge half the time.
With that said, what would you say is the future for you guys? What's the future for this company, and what do you see down the road?
Well, that could go in so many different directions. It's a flow chart, right? So first things first, we want to get to all 50 states.
Yeah.
It's really 51, including DC,
Right.
So 51 jurisdictions, we want to get to that. We're trying to do that by the end of Q1 of next year.
Okay.
I would actually like to do it by the end of Q4. It's just not going to happen.
Too much. Too much to do.
That's one of the ledges Jill had to talk me off. But so that's obviously, that's kind of phase 0. I mean, that's just bread and butter. We had
Getting
to get
all the
there.
states.
Then we're going to localize into Spanish because
Sweet.
that is
Move to Puerto Rico.
oh no, that's California.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
because 0% of our competitors operate in Spanish.
Oh, interesting.
And so we built the application. That was one of the things that we decided early on, is that we will build this application so localization is a matter of changing fairly simple. I don't want to the developers slap me whenever I say it's just so easy, but we tried to make it as
that
easy
sounds
as
like a
possible.
not developer thing to say.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But we tried to build that functionality in. So that's phase 2.
And they know down the road that's what's coming.
Exactly.
Man, this is so exciting.
Phase 3 or phase 2, whichever way you want to count it, anybody who's ever been divorced, in fact, we were talking about this before the show, anybody that has ever been divorced knows that when the divorce is signed, that's the beginning of the divorce. That is not the end of your divorce. That's when you have to figure out parent time, alimony, child support, who's taking them to soccer practice, who's buying their cleats, who's buying their dance outfit. You have to manage that divorce. We named our company OurDivorce not because, well, it is a cool name, but also because we have to manage our divorce. You're stuck together.
You really do.
If you have kids,
you're stuck
You're
together.
stuck together. And if there's alimony, if there's anything tying you together, it has to be managed. So the components that we've built to create a parent time calendar can be used to manage the parent time calendar.
Awesome.
You can keep them as a client?
Mm-hmm. What? So we're charging $299 to get a divorce. When we get to that, it will be a monthly recurring charge to become a member or a subscriber, and it will be far cheaper than
what it's going to cost.
And going back to court every 3 months
freaking cool.
because I don't like the rules.
When we said a disruptor, we weren't kidding. This, I'm not a soothsayer or anything, but man, I can see this $1 billion company easily.
Well, we'd have to define the word easily.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm always in the clouds, right? Everything is easy, right? Just go do it. You can figure this out, guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like you said.
I would like it to be easy, but no, I agree. I mean, if you think about what we were talking about before, where there's an $8 billion legal monopoly.
Yeah.
Now, that's because they're charging $200, $300, $400 an hour. So we're not charging that. So we're going to take a component of that $8 billion, those 750,000 divorces, but we're not charging the same amount. So it's going to be a much smaller portion. It's going to be smaller. Whether we're $1 billion company, $100 million company, I can live on that. It might be a cut and pay, but I could live on that.
Right. Just a little bit.
And it still goes back to the passion. I can tell you guys really feel passionate about what you're doing because you're really doing something for the human race.
We're making a difference.
Yes.
And you can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what we want on the show. People that are understanding, they're using technology to change things.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the future. So with that said, what do you guys think? Dude, Brad, I've done it again.
No, you're fine.
I've been so excited with the last episode. I hogged the whole thing. Brad's
just a pretty face.
Something like that, right?
Gotta have one.
But I wanted to kind of wrap up with kind of your guys' thoughts about the future of technology in general. I mean, you're kind of, you're in the thick of building something, this disruptor. How do you feel about, you want to add to that question, Brad? I just...
No, I mean, I think you covered it. I mean, I love your enthusiasm, and it's been awesome. So, I mean, I'm glad that we can find guests that get you this excited.
Gets me this excited.
Even on a topic such as divorce.
I think what I'm seeing, because I work really closely with technology on a day-to-day basis, I'm seeing automation. And so if you think about it, I mean, selling cars, it is becoming more automated, where you're taking out having to deal with a face-to-face situation and simplifying that by taking that element out of it. So if it's a guided process that you can create and put it online, I think that's where I see technology really helping people in the future. And I'm not even talking about kids today that at 3 years old are able to manipulate a smart device. And that's going to be even more interesting to see where their minds are going to take us. But that's at least more immediately in the 3 to 5 years, next 3 to 5 years, I see a lot more of this kind of disruption where really taking any situation that you can take out the complex element of oh, I have to go to the car lot and I have to
Right.
sit there all day long to buy a car.
Right.
Gee, let's simplify that. And here's my car, and oh, they're going to deliver it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
there's already a couple companies out there like
Oh, yeah,
Carvana or
yeah.
I know. I didn't want to
yeah.
call,
Right.
but,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah,
you're
there
right.
are definitely.
They're
But
out there.
and that's where we're seeing more and more of that trust. The consumers are trusting that process. They're not. I mean, it's working, so
yeah.
consumers are really trusting it.
And as the younger generation grows up that is totally ingrained in it, it's only going to get more.
Exactly.
right.
Because they're not going to be afraid of it like us old people.
No, that's right. We're like, well, that's how we did it. So that's how
They're
we
like, what are you
must do
talking
it
about?
now."
This is, why would I go talk to somebody? That's weird.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, anyway.
I mean, but if you think about it, ordering food.
Yeah.
I mean, during the last 18 months, how many people have gotten really used to using those
Oh, yeah.
those
The
applications
DoorDashes and, yeah.
all day long?
Right.
it's convenient, it's beautiful.
It's easy. Yeah,
Easy.
it's like the 50s when they started coming out with dishwashers and
Yeah.
those things that automate a process
Yep.
that we find redundant or that we don't want to do anymore, or again that we don't take out the middleman.
Yeah. So true. Last words, you guys.
I'm going to say one last thing about where technology is going. It's the cloud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's the bottom line is we don't own a single server. We don't. We use Google Docs.
You don't have to nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
You really don't.
There's no reason.
Everything
Yeah.
we have is on AWS.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
It's easy.
the barriers to entry to get into a technology business
That's
have
right.
been decimated.
Blown out.
Exactly.
Cost effective.
It's now process and code. It's not infrastructure or anything else anymore.
Hardware.
And I can't believe how beautiful
easy it
that
is.
is.
Yeah, I tell people, you want to put in-house a server for $5 or $10,000 and build some in-house thing, or you could use something that somebody just spent $2 billion constructing. Which one do you think is going to work better? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Why would you have hardware? For one, it's also a budgeting thing. You know how much you're going to spend, right?
Exactly.
There's no secret, or not secret, surprises. That's the word I was looking for, right? You know what you got. Anyway, wow, this has been so cool.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
I love
I'm
it.
so on fire.
Don't be.
Yeah.
We love firing people up about divorce.
I want to find some people that need to get divorced. Do I know it? I know a couple. Yeah, that's right. I'll tell my wife about
Well,
it.
you know where to send them.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
Because
Well,
even
this was
though
great.
we're launching Utah, I would say within the next few weeks, they can still go on and start the process today.
Correct.
Sweet.
Oh, anybody from anywhere can start it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just not legal, or it's not.
No, we just don't.
know the laws for that state in the system.
So let's talk about just real quick the three components that we have to figure out. We had to figure out the software itself, asking the questions. It's called the interview. Okay, that's kind of the standard legal term, is that the interview process. That's what we do for those three steps. We gathered data along the way, lots and lots of data that they've entered about their house, about their kids, about their cars. Then what are they going to do with all those things? Now we have to get that data onto a piece of paper that they can file. So the first step
Got
to
it.
do that is we actually have to create the paperwork. And so we have attorneys in every single state, because we need local attorneys who understand the laws and they basically provide us with a divorce packet that we then, we internally, we've created our own verb. We OurDivorceify it, and we change the documents, not changing any of the content or the meaning, but we plug our own data fields in. It's basically a mail merge.
Got it.
And we use, we have a third party that does the automation process. And so, there are literally tens of thousands of variables that we have to work with. If this is true, then it's this variable. If not, it's that other variable or this one variable. And so it's a very complicated thing, and it's taken 18 months
Yeah.
to get to 12 states. And so now each new state, we have to do those second two steps. We have to create the paperwork and do the automation. The
And for
software doesn't
example,
change.
If you're in Virginia, you have to be separated a year and a day before you can even file for divorce.
Wow. I didn't know
Wait,
that.
what?
Uh-huh.
In Virginia?
Uh-huh. There's a few states
separated,
like that.
meaning they're not living in the house
They
together
cannot live in the same house together
for over a year.
a year and a day.
Or they have to be willing to tell the courts that they haven't lived together for a year and a day.
Oh, so they could lie about it, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying
he didn't
anything
say
like
that.
that.
I got you. No, yeah. No. Yeah,
We don't get involved in that.
Understood.
We write the instructions.
Not a lawyer. Not a lawyer.
I mean, this kind of ties
is
me into
not
another
legal
question.
advice.
I mean, excuse me.
We were wrapping up, but you
Right.
have to get this question out.
Excuse me. Are the divorce laws, like, are they archaic? I mean, do they need to be updated? I mean, help me understand that a little bit more. I mean, because this seems a little ridiculous that you'd have to wait a year and a day to even start the process.
Well, it depends on your definition of archaic. I think, yes, that particular one is ridiculous. You got two people who don't want to live together. You're forcing them to pay two separate rents and they're basically
Yeah.
forcing.
Well, that's
Extra
kind of where I was going with
expenses.
it. It's like, I mean, it just seems like it's you already know that you're getting divorced. It's already there. Why delay the inevitable?
Exactly.
Well, and let's talk about archaic, because we've seen some divorce documents from states that were back from 1993, and any changes that the state made were crossed out,
No way.
Wow.
Wow.
And even misspelled words were added.
The- so when we get the divorce packets from the state, they send me these documents, and these are
And they're a mess.
when you see, like, when you make a photocopy of a page that has that's
folded
folded
over
a
and
little
you
bit,
can see
yeah.
the staple.
Yeah.
It's got that,
Like
and
they're
then they
using
white it out.
microfiche or something.
Right. They white it out their
It's
their
crossed it
county
out.
name, and they wrote it in and misspelled it. I mean,
Wow.
it's archaic.
Yes,
and
it
the,
is.
the entire legal system. I mean, if you think about it, legal and medical, as far as I can tell, are the only two major industries that still fax everything.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is disruption.
Like,
Way.
We've leapfrogged,
yeah.
decades worth of,
Oh, yeah.
of advances here.
So how do people get a hold of you guys? I mean, you can tell the website again and stuff, but how do they contact? Just kind of give a walkthrough again of how to get a hold of you guys, your TikTok and all that good stuff.
Well, OurDivorce.com is the primary site. There's a
How
lot
do you
of
spell it?
Our Divorce, OUR Divorce.
Very good.
.com.
DIVORC. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So-
how I remembered
so
how to
you-
spell it. It's an old country song. Anyway.
I thought it was Mickey Mouse.
Right?
No,
That's where I was
it's an
going
old
with it.
country song.
I love it.
Little it's Tammy Wynette or something. It's old country. I'm
Oh,
talking.
really old country.
When I was a kid, that's how I
That
learned how
should
to
be our
spell.
theme song.
Yeah, we should look that up. No, so OurDivorce.com. There's a lot of great information on our website. We have a great blog. We have an attorney that writes an expert blog for us.
Awesome.
Has information about Tom and I.
Yeah.
I mean, people think, again, that we were the ones that were married, and it's our divorce but no, we've just been friends and
Yeah.
we haven't been married to each other. So we have to make sure people understand that.
Yeah.
Then our TikTok is also
Our Divorce.
Our Divorce.
And a lot of great content there. We have a lot of fun with that. And then just today, we launched My Crazy Divorce. You can go to mycrazydivorce.com and listen to other people's misery.
And that's the podcast.
That's the podcast. And we've got 4 episodes that'll be launching, weekly. We went with the trailer today. Next Wednesday will be the first episode.
You're doing 4 episodes a week?
No. We have 4
shoot,
ready to
scared me.
go.
That's
we
brutal.
wanted
I
to.
was going to say
That would be
that's wild.
brutal.
We wanted to have 4
We're not
in the
that
can
crazy.
before we went with
Live.
the
Yeah,
first
which is
one.
that's the way you should do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Because
you,
ours
you've
are-
listened to somebody about how to do podcasts, obviously.
Well, yeah, I spent a lot of time. But the thing about it is ours are a little bit different. It's not just an interview like this. We interview and then we make it like Dateline, where I narrate and then just use little clips from them. So I have to write a script
God.
and
Oh, nice.
everything.
That's awesome.
That's way cool.
Okay,
They're
I'm gonna have
they're
to
a lot
write
of
that.
fun. My
My Crazy
divorce. And yeah, Jill
Go
mentioned.
check out the trailer. MyCrazyDivorce.com. Check out the trailer. That'll give you an idea of
That sounds.
of what we're doing. But to Tom's
That sounds
point,
like something my wife would like to listen.
Oh,
She
I know
loves
she
the
would.
true crime stuff.
Yep.
She loves the true crime.
That's in her
This is
wheelhouse.
kind of that.
That's
It
there.
is.
And it's maybe true crime light because it's not the husband killing the wife or the wife slitting the
No.
husband's
Not
throat.
yet.
It's like,
Well-
oh my gosh, why do you listen to this?
Right.
I'm kind of
Although-
worried you listen to this stuff so much.
Here's a little teaser. The episode I'm recording a week from today is with a guy named J.D. Campbell, who's published a book, and he's been on his book tour. His wife spent years trying to kill him after taking out multiple
No way.
life
Yeah.
insurance policies on him.
Yeah, my wife will totally listen to this show.
She'll be
So,
there.
so it's not about the husband killing the wife in that one, but it's the other way around.
Oh yeah, it happens both ways. All of that stuff. I'm amazed at the human race sometimes.
I know.
Right.
We're horrible humans.
You know, I believe there are still a lot of good people in the world, but man, there are a few bad ones too.
Tom says, and I think this is true. We are complex beings.
So
Absolutely.
true.
That's really nails it.
Very true. Very true. Well, thank you so much, guys,
Thank
for
you.
being on the show. Any last words, Brad? Since
I'm
I've
good.
stolen.
No, you got it.
This is awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time for the new IT.